Hi there, and welcome to Warhammer Inquires, the probable lore question series for the wide universe of Warhammer. Tired of lore channels being long-winded? Just need some quick dirty lore for something that caught your interest? New to the 40,000 or 30,000 space? Then I am the man you need. And on today's episode, we have a triple feature, though that's more so due to their appearances within the lore itself. They are pretty rare. This also means I'm short on citations, so let's get it out of the way, shall we? The Volkite and Grav-gun. Let's start off with the Heresy Classic. The Volkite is a thermal ray or laser that deflagrates. What is deflagration? The beam or blast fires, and when hitting its target, and essentially, it creates an explosion of heat that incinerates or vaporizes the target, or their limb, in a matter of seconds. The only indication of said damage being the smoking stump or corpse left behind. There are many types of Volkite, but they all work the same. Or do they? Joke aside, the Volkite itself is a relic weapon, and that means it doesn't see all too much action due to the reason that, well, it is a relic, and thus cannot be replicated. However, there are Neo-Volkite weapons. Don't let the name fool you, it's pretty much the same as a regular Volkite. Our good friend Belisarius Cole, who you may know created the Primaris Space Marines, and if you didn't, now you do, just figured out how to make them again. Dementia has affected him as a person, or rather, persons. So this is one of his few good actions. However, it is unclear whether this Neo-Volkite is still difficult to produce. Even during the Imperium's Golden Age, these dreadfully powerful weapons were far too costly to field. Now here's a misconception and a point of contention. The misconception is more so a community one, again, and that is the early Space Marine fielded the Volkite as their first armament, or rather, main weapon. This isn't true. The bolter was there day one and kept its top dog position, as both the Emperor and his proto-Astartes, known as the Thunder Warriors, used bolters during the Unification Wars, as well as the people they fought against also may have had a bolter or two. Additionally, STCs, or Standard Template Constructs, just a fancy word for blueprints, of the bolter exist as per the earliest Horus Heresy entries. Humanity truly doesn't need innovation. We learned how to boil water and somehow this led to nuclear weapons. Sometimes a design is just so good it'll cement itself permanently and cannot be challenged or overruled. The bolter is just like that. But enough about the mailbox. What's the point of contention? Remember way back in the Melter video? Actually, I need to go back and remaster that at some point, so I'll retread what I said. The Volkite has two depictions, a continuous beam or a blast. However, thankfully, I'll consider this one a matter of taste and let you decide what you think is best. Personally, I subscribe to the blast, which is the best depiction because a Volkite blast seems a much cooler way of depicting the weapon itself. Also, it's funny to say, Volkite blast! The beam itself, whilst fine on its own, seems boring in comparison, but that's how it's depicted in Boltgun, though a point could be made that depiction is specifically for the Volkite caliber, but that's nitpicky. Now on to our second weapon, the Grav-gun. There's not much to say here aside from an in-lore contention point. The Grav-gun itself, as you no doubt could have guessed, uses gravity. As such, its lethality rate can go from 0 all the way to a maximum of making you a meat cube, or mist, or potentially a meatball. There isn't much to say on how it works because if you understand the basics of gravity, you theoretically understand how all weapons with the grav affix work. But if you don't, gravity can be low or high, and depending on this, the pressure, or rather force exerted on your body, can be really terrible for you, or alternatively, you could float aimlessly. The problem comes when it is far too high, because despite how thick that Terminator plate is, it is also extremely heavy. So now that Terminator plate becomes a crushed soda can with you inside it, and, understandably, you will not survive being squashed. Now, the area of effect seems to be in the form of a bubble, and when the trigger is pulled, everything in that bubble will be affected. It's on you, the user, to decide whether you want to crush or hold them in place with the gravity. It's also a very good weapon for clearing out fortifications. Can't be in a bunker if it collapses underneath its own weight, now can you? Granted, you'd need to have knowledge of how the structure supports itself first, but it can't be that hard. Though here comes that in-lore contention. The Grav-gun is a very powerful weapon, and as such it is from humanity's dark age, though that isn't saying much. And depending on the source, either the Imperium can construct it, or they can't. While that isn't wholly true, Munitorum Volume 1 it specifies that Tech Marines are taught by the Mechanicum to maintain and possibly create these weapons, and you'd have to bend over backwards to be taught how to make them. But then, and I remember seeing a citation, but I couldn't find it, sadly, saying on multiple occasions they were relics and the means to create them, similarly, were also forgotten. So either humanity can make them, and it's a similar case with the Volkite with them just being harder to produce, or the Mechanicum at large is lying and trying to save face. Either or. Now, I said that there would be a third edition for this, and that is our hidden weapon, the Disentegrator. What do we know about it? It disintegrates, and it exists, and that's all we know. I mean, it's not like we should know more. It does what it says on the can, or rather, the weapon. It disintegrates. It really is just that simple.